Okay, let's start the meeting on the Conservation Commission. Tammy, could you call to order?
Commissioner Gaddis? Here. Commissioner Dill?
Here.
Commissioner Holder?
Here.
Commissioner Mabry?
Here.
Commissioner Sells?
Here.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Here.
Commissioner Kane will be arriving shortly. Commissioner
Unexpected delay, yes, I'm here. He'll be here shortly. So, invocation.
Please bow your heads with me. Lord, thank you for granting us safe travels in today. Be with us and guide us to make decisions to benefit the wildlife and the sportsmen and women of the state. And be with us on our travels home, and thanks for watching over us. In Lord's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Tammy, can you introduce? Yes, and as she calls your name, if you could just raise your hand so we know who you are.
Sean McKay with Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Foundation. Jillian Welch with the Attorney General's Office. Kent Taggart with Minder. Will Hodicott with OMES. Chase Middleton with OMES. Nathan Wald with OMES. Brenna Sawney with OMES. David Edwards with OMES. Maddie Remington. And Christina Heffrey also with OMES.
Welcome. Yeah, we got some presentation awards. Wade.
Okay, so it's my honor, privilege, and other things, Kelvin. After 30 years of Kelvin doing what he does, and he does it well, working for the department, we're going to recognize him and give you a little background on Kelvin. Most of you know Kelvin. If you're a 30-year veteran, you're pretty well known. We know some things that we can't even tell, right, Scott? So, Kelvin, it's an honor to introduce you today and recognize you for 30 years with the department. Truly a lifetime of dedication. And you're one of those guys where it's not just a job, it's in your DNA. I think I was in on your interview possibly. And it seemed like it was yesterday. In 1994, I looked through some of your records that showed that you were a bio aide for Tom Wyatt, right?
That's where I started.
That's where you learned to shoot stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. So in 95, hired as a wildlife technician, Hackberry. We all know about Hackberry and the great things there and the things that Kelvin has done. And then 98, promoted to a biologist where he has been the guy down there for years. Lots of talk still about Hackberry, pipeline, meetings as late as last week, renovation. And when people start talking about pipeline work and renovation and Hackberry projects to Kelvin, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, I was there. So I actually remember a call where someone was giving Rod Smith and Kelvin some pointers on how Hackberry played out, and they didn't know who they were talking to. So it's like you were the guys in the trenches. So 98, he's promoted to biologist where you still are. A little bit of background, and I've got quite a bit here. I'm going to read most of it. Kelvin has been a huge part of Hackberry Flat WMA since its initial development. Been involved in every phase from groundbreaking through intensive infrastructure and habitat development to ongoing improvements and management through historic drought impacts. Managing a wetland in southwest Oklahoma isn't easy. Where the biggest thing that you're challenged with is what? Water, and not much of it at times. Challenges of managing wetlands in a very arid part of the state have brought about constant evaluation and evolution of strategies to maintain a nationally recognized project vital to the Central Flyway. Kelvin has facilitated and led joint efforts involving DU, USDA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Mountain Park Master Conservancy District, and numerous volunteer groups to make this happen. In addition to high input required for Hackberry Flat, Kelvin remains a vital part of overall Southwest region projects and direction, not just Hackberry Flat stuff. He shows up ready to work and has the same drive and enthusiasm as the day he went to work. That's pretty impressive. And I know firsthand, love for his job and the work he does is the same as it was on the day he hired on. So that's a lot to be respected for. Nothing that gets in his way. He'll tackle anything that comes his way with a great attitude. And one of your buddies put this note in here, below your never-ending sense of humor, which he has one, and a department prankster, right? There lies a vast knowledge of wetland ecology, habitat management, and what it takes to care for the resource that we manage. I will add a note, if Kelvin's around on an elk hunt or whatever it might be, you need to lock your truck because he and some of his other partners will mess with you. He's not all that stand up all the time. So he works tirelessly for sportsmen and women of Oklahoma. And last but certainly not least, would be the legacy left through numerous interns, hourlies, and technicians that have worked with Kelvin. So been a big influence, not just directly, but long-term with other folks on Hackberry Flat. If you've never been to Hackberry Flat, you need to be there. Kelvin will give you a personal tour like no other. And I got a couple other side notes. With Kelvin leaving, we all know that the bar is set pretty high, so it's going to be tough when you leave. There's already talk about who replaces Kelvin when he retires. So we need a transition plan. So when you've worked 30 years and people are asking, what's that transition plan for that employee, you know you've done well. So that's good. A couple things you may not know. He's a wood carver extraordinaire, decoys, right, mostly. Had a booth for several years at the expo, and pretty impressive. Duck decoys mostly. Have you done anything like goose and bigger birds too, or mostly? Yeah. You do? Okay. I'm going to give you a chance to talk about all that. Bill Dinkins did note that back in the day, you about broke us when you got the department's first 8-wheeled tractor on Hackberry Flat. And the other WMA guys were saying, wow, Kevin spent more on his tractor than I have in my entire budget. So a lot of guys were mad at you back then, but you charted the course for that. Back then, that's when a lot of guys out there on the WMAs were driving no-cab Ford 5000 80-horse tractors, and he comes up with this big monster. But big acres, big farming, big equipment. So I touched on it, but Kelvin is a serious birder, waterfowler, and bona fide prankster. And there's not a better human being out there than Kelvin. If you want to step up here, Kelvin, I've got your pen. You do? Your pen, and I'm going to give you the mic. And you love the mic. Step up there.
I'm just going to say, I hope the next 30 years is as much fun as the past 30. Guys I work for do a great job. Thank you.
Kelvin, congratulations. We do expect another 30 years. You just said it in public meeting, so.
I'm going to give at least one guy up. Commissioner Barwick was one guy saying, when Kelvin retires, what's the transition plan? So, yeah.
Well, we need one. You're very valuable, and we appreciate your service. Okay. Presentation of performance metrics for Wildlife Department overview of newly renovated site, Curtis program. Everybody likes big bucks, don't they? Micah?
Well, Commissioners, we're here to talk about wildlifedepartment.com with over 1,000 pages and millions of page views on those pages. It's easily one of the most important communication tools we have. It's often the first impression people have in the whenever we have a project or program that's like working good and seems easy, it's usually because we have a really skilled person on the back end doing stuff. That person is Kara Gardner. She's our web developer. in just a couple of years, she's made a lot of changes. Some of them are real obvious, some of them aren't, just making the page more functional and work better. So Kara's here to tell us about those improvements.
Hi, thank you for having me this morning. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of the recent updates to wildlifedepartment.com. Over the next few minutes, I'll be covering three main areas. Key improvements made to the website, the website analytics, and then the Cy Curtis program. Oh, if I can get this mouse straight. In 2023, I implemented search engine optimization tools on the admin side of the site. These tools help our content writers improve their pages' visibility on search engines by providing suggestions. Such one example would be, are your keywords in all the right places? The URL, the title, the first paragraph. The website was upgraded from Drupal 9 to Drupal 10, which improves performance, security, and long-term support. I've also added or updated several forms to enhance user experience. One of the biggest improvements was the restructuring of the Report Wildlife form. It now includes an interactive map that allows users to click on the map, and that'll collect the coordinates for where they saw that animal. And then another major form update was the creation of the boating fishing access process application. This features an interactive map that does the same thing, but it also has a live budgeting tool. So as every time they enter a line item, it updates to show the new calculations. Let's take a quick step back and remember what the website looked like when it was rebuilt by my predecessor, Daniel Griffith. My mouse is not working, I apologize. It was working this morning. There it goes, says it's connected, okay. And then this is how it looks today. It matches our branding standards. It is mobile friendly. And it also has animations and on certain pages to keep users engaged. Now we're going to go over website analytics. In 2024, the website received well over 11 million page views in total. There have been 2.3 million active users, and the average engagement time is 2 minutes and 6 seconds, well above the industry benchmark of 52 seconds. The most popular page is hunting seasons, and most of these pages right now are hunting related, but it's important to note that seasonal trends show that spring and summer fishing pages are the most popular. Late summers, fall, and winter is when hunting pages are the most popular. These are the top 10 email campaigns. As you can see, our monthly fishing R3 email campaigns are very successful at bringing visitors into the website. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, like 7 fishing campaigns. They do very well. And then our top 10 outdoor Oklahoma journal articles. The fishing tips continue to be popular year-round. And then if you can see here, the Youth Annual Super Hunting License was only published in July of this last year, and it's already jumped up to second place. Our user demographics. Our females are at 36%. When I started here a couple of years ago, they were down at 33%, so they've gone up a couple points since then. And then our largest user demographics is the age group of 35 to 44, 25 to 34 close behind, and then the least, which is 65 and up. We can even see what devices they like to use. Mobile is approaching 80%. When I started, it was at 73%. So it is, most people only look at the website on their phones. And then we can see their preferred browsers, which is useful to me as a developer more than really anybody else, with Safari being the top browser and Chrome coming in second. Now we can go over the sectors further. This redesign brings several new improvements. First, it follows our branding guidelines and is fully mobile friendly with little to no horizontal scrolling. For staff, the verification and certificate process is now 50% faster. Previously, it took Heather Del Moral about 13 minutes per submission. Now she completes the process in about 5 to 6 minutes, including printing and preparing the certificates for delivery. A major improvement is the elimination of redundant data entry. If hunters and scorers input their data correctly, Heather simply verifies it and publishes the entry. She can now print certificates directly from the admin site of the website, where the hunter's name and the harvest details automatically populate for her. Another exciting addition is that hunters can now upload a photo of their harvest along with a story if they choose to share it. Here is a reminder of what it looked like. Doesn't really match our branding standards. And on mobile, you can see here, if you wanted to see all of the data, you had to scroll. And a lot of users don't know that they can do that.
Kara, that's just a tab that you can, there it is, never mind.
That's you want to go back?
No, it looks like you're going to show us how to get there, so.
Right. Okay, and this is the new version. I'll show you a live view real quick. All right. So users just need to select the tab of the species that they are interested in, such as white-tailed deer, and then they can choose typical or non-typical. Users can search by the hunter name, the county, the method, and even the year. The rank shows up first in this brown, and then the score in orange. And if they wanted to see more details, you just click the hunter's name, a pop-up shows up. If there is an image that they submitted, it'll show up here. And if they have a hunter story, a button will appear right below inside spread. You click that, it expands, and you can read their story.
Kara, do we tell the public that if they enter into Cy Curtis, then their information is going to be public?
This information is public. Not all information is going to be public. All the information that
People
we
don't like to reveal
where the county that like they harvested at. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that could be something we can discuss.
And I understand what the OK Slam is. What's the OK Super Slam?
Okay, let's go there. All right, so the OK Slam, it's over the course of their entire hunting career. But the OK Super Slam is only if it's within the same year, which is an impressive feat. Wow. And we have one, Brandon Adams. And these are the details of his hunts.
If it's all taken with a bow, it's a super slam.
I think it's impressive, yeah. That would be very impressive.
Impressive.
All right. Bear with me as I transition. Thank you for having me, and are there any more questions?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You considered how AI will play into this in the future?
I think AI helps me as a tool for the job that I do. I think we need to be careful implementing AI. It would be cool to have AI answer questions for users on the website, but it always has to be correct. So I would be cautious, but I'm not totally against it.
Are we seeing an increase in entries in the last 4 or 5
I think
years?
so. In entries in the last 4 or 5 years, I can't answer that question, but I know over this last weekend we just had 7 entries. So I think more people are, and Rack Madness is coming up too, so maybe they're being reminded of that.
And how's the registration for that? Is that up from last year, or are we limited to 200? Is it 200?
There's 241 people registered as of this morning.
Is there a limit on the registration?
300.
And we start at what, 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock, 1 to 6. Yep. The goal was to get 200 people there. We got 241. They won't all come, but most of them will come. Yeah.
That's a nice way to highlight those slams and super slams and then be able to look at that.
Yeah,
Very well done.
Good job,
thank
Kara.
you.
Appreciate it. Any other questions, Kara?
Thank you.
Could you please have the minutes reflect that Commissioner Kane is
I
here?
was just gonna say that during item 6, Commissioner Kane showed up, and I don't know if you wanna start making applications for getting in the pits at the Indy 500.
Yeah, I'm a man of many skills.
Okay. Number 8, presentation of a donation, which we always like, from the Mentor Company to Oklahoma Foundation. Bill Dinkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Several people had their hands on this agenda item, but ultimately the proposal for to match these donated funds ended up in Wildlife Division, so I was asked if I would present it, and I said, great. I'm always up for, looking at possible money being donated and us able to match it 3-to-1 for a total of $60,000. So I'll start with just basically the proposal that was ultimately approved through Menders was for some wetland development habitat work down on our Red and Grassy Slough, some contract disking and millet seeding with the U.S. Forest Service, also assistance with our migratory bird program through our annual goose roundup. Additional supplies and equipment were needed for those annual roundups. The beauty of both of those projects is the folks asked as part of the process if they could do some hands-on, some of their members could come out and assist us. So those 2 projects, definitely with the millet seeding and the goose roundup, we'll definitely get them dirty. So I'm glad they're willing to do that. The third part of the money will go to our midwinter waterfowl survey that we do annually to help us manage waterfowl statewide. So that's the details. I'm going to kick it to Sean. The donation is actually going to the foundation. But Sean, I didn't recognize it without your orange jacket.
Good morning, Commissioners, and obviously excited to be here this morning. So at the tail end of 2024, I was contacted by Kent. We had discussed an opportunity to make a donation through the foundation, in turn coming to the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation to help benefit some conservation efforts. I know Kent is going to come up and speak a little more about what Mender does specifically and kind of their relationship with OMES. So, obviously we're extremely excited to be able to help facilitate the go-between of some of these opportunities to, provide that support that they're willing to give to conservation efforts throughout Oklahoma, and then with Chief Dinkins and the match and expanding that even further. So with that, I would like to introduce Kent Taggart with Mender so that he can kind of speak a little more to what his role is, and then kind of go on from there. So Kent, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Good morning, y'all. I appreciate you allowing a Texan in the door here. It was a quick jaunt. No issues. Didn't get pulled over by Oklahoma patrol, although I did see plenty of them. We are very pleased to be here and to be contributing to y'all's mission. Mender's mission as an organization is to mend the relationship between corporations and our natural world. We're specifically focused on IT asset disposition. So companies, government, they buy IT equipment, they depreciate it over 3 to 5 years. Time to get rid of it. It's spread out all over the place. It's at people's home offices, it's in data centers, warehouses, you name it. So we support with reverse logistics of getting all of that equipment back, wiping hard drives, refurbishing it, remarketing it, and recycling. OMES engaged us about a year and a half ago or so to participate in an RFP. We had the distinct pleasure of winning that RFP, and they were aware of our 5% pledge. So every year, 5% of our profit goes back to land and wildlife conservation. I'm an outdoorsman, so is my partner. I believe that part of what makes America great is our model of land and wildlife conservation. And so we've figured out how to run a green business that's associated with the reclamation of resources and keeping those back in the manufacturing chain, or extending the life cycle of IT equipment. We figured out how to make a little profit doing that, and we're trying to give as much of that back to land and wildlife conservation efforts as we possibly can. So when OMES heard about our pledge, they said, hey, the money that you all are able to make here in the state of Oklahoma, can we put that back into the state? And we said, absolutely. This is after they had ground us way down, so they weren't going to let us make any money anyways. So we're pleased to make this initial contribution. There's a whole lot more that we believe that we can do through OMES as well as with companies that are headquartered here. So anything that we are able to process and turn into revenue dollars for us, we're happy that's coming out of the state of Oklahoma. We're happy to contribute that back into the state of Oklahoma. So thank you again. I appreciate all the support and being here to give this over to y'all. And I don't know who's next, but I'm gonna hand it off. Nathan. Thank you.
I'll take your answer.
All right.
Even though you're from Texas. Yeah, thanks. It's been a privilege. So I'm Nathan Wold. I'm the administrator of CAM, Capital Asset Management. So that's a division within OMES. OMES, sometimes you need a Google Maps or a compass and a map to find your way through. But OMES has CAM, which is one of their divisions. IT Asset Management is one of those. So Will here, Will Habakat and his team are in the audience. Will came to me a little over a year ago and voiced his concerns with how the state handles end of life for our IT assets. And it is a problem, and Will has some great solutions. So we did an RFP. We engaged with Mender. Mender's been a great partner, and whenever they said that they would give back to the state, we jumped on it. And it was a no-brainer to give to the wildlife. Like, we partner on several different things, Wade, and it's been a pleasure. And I hope to continue working with you on many different aspects within the state. The IT asset management is an area that we can improve upon greatly, not just within OMES, but within the state itself. So higher education, there's a lot of areas we can improve. We can continue to grow this year over year and start giving back to what's really important, which is the hunting and fishing, right? That's what we care about in this room. But it's to Oklahoma. I'm a farm boy from out southwestern Oklahoma. Love this land. I love Oklahoma. So to give back, to have Mender give us the opportunity to give back, and to have the opportunity to partner with another state agency has been a true pleasure. It's something that OMES needs to do more of, and I plan to do that in my tenure here. I think I've hit all the key points, and I won't belabor this point any further, but thank you for partnering with us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. Thank you, Mender. Thank you for having us this morning.
Thank you.
I need to add a little bit, Nathan. It's bigger than just that. So we've dealt with OMES for years. I mean, they're part of probably every state system. And for years, we really had no one to talk to. In 40 years, I've never met with an OMES person. We talked to Nathan. Man, we've got some issues we'd like to work through, some efficiency stuff. And he's like, well, I'm that guy. And he is that guy. When you want to meet? Really? Next Wednesday. So thanks to Nathan, Will, and others in the OMES team that works with him, we've made great strides in the business we do with OMES. Nathan, we meet in regular. We're going over to-do lists, and from shooting ranges to other projects to getting bills paid. He's been a great asset. How long have you been with them now?
A year and a half.
Year and a half. So making huge differences, and we have people to talk to, and we're sitting at the table, And it's like, no more emails, let's talk. So shout out to you and your team. I mean, things are really a lot better thanks to you. So he's also a big piece of how this happened. So when people like Nathan think, hey, this could be a good thing for the wildlife department, it's evident that things are getting really good. So appreciate it. And we thank Menders for this. It's a huge deal and proud of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Win-win. We need more stories like that, so thank you all. Y'all can help us make more of it happen, you know?
That's great news, Nathan. We're looking forward to ironing out some wrinkles.
We have some to iron.
Okay. I know that the donation's going to the foundation, but ultimately get here, so do I have a motion to accept it once it's here?
Aye.
Commissioner Zelf. Commissioner Dillingham.
Aye.
Commissioner Kane.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes.
Aye. Item number 9, do we have any discussion on the minutes? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Aye. Okay, item 10, director's report. You don't have to do what we talked about, so.
Right. Commissioner Kane, you did obey the speed limit, right?
As far as you know.
Yeah.
As counsel, I'm gonna advise him to stay silent.
We heard the Texan talk about no troopers pulled him over, so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna give you some highlights, some calendar items, some agency updates. You have the full report in your packet. I'm not gonna go through all of that as usual. You did hear about Rack Madness, which is March 5th. 200 and plus is kind of the target number for antlers measured. We'll have, 75 plus employees working the event. So a lot of work's gone into pre-March 5th. So if you can make that, and if you have attended it, you kind of know what that's all about. A lot of antlers, a lot of impressive things coming through the door. And March 10th through the 14th is the North American Wildlife Conference. Several of you may be registered for that one. And April 1 through 2 are the regional shoots at El Reno. If you like shooting and kids, you need to maybe show up at that one and see what that's all about. Cool event. For those that didn't know, most of you in here know, we just had the gala Friday night, and that was a huge event. Sean did a great job putting that thing together. Shout out to Rhonda Hurst, former employee, for, I believe, doing a lot of the legwork on that thing. That thing was quite successful, and for those of you that were there, you know what I'm talking about. So some people were luckier than others on winning and getting bids on things, but I thought it was great, best one we've ever had. So good job to the foundation team. Some agency updates and admin. The 2025 auction was completed on the vehicles and the junk sale, we call it, turn-in equipment. That was $390,935 generated between the surplus items and the vehicles. We talked about normalization of license pricing, and it's starting to happen. Non-resident annual hunting spiked in January due to the last part of waterfowl season, resulting in a $1 million increase in sales revenue for that license type. So things are normalizing. And federal funds for grant drawdowns were taken offline during the change of the administration, but quickly reinstated, and ODWC's reimbursement has not been impacted. Lots of federal regulation and mandates and orders have people like, ooh, what's going to happen? But so far we're not panicking, and we're proceeding as normal until we hear, not fear, anything else. We had 10 new hires. There were 8 game wardens and 2 fish technicians. We only had 5 promotions during this reporting period. In fisheries, as we're in our federal reporting phase of the year, highlights for the fisheries section, biologists conducted 119 individual surveys ranging from spring electrofishing to seining and fall netting. That's a lot of surveys. During the sampling, staff carried out creel surveys on 11 reservoirs. Habitat plays a crucial role in our ability to manage fisheries and attract anglers, ultimately improving their chances of success. And in '24, fisheries staff placed 1,333 structures, natural and artificial, in 31 bodies of water. That's a lot of structure. And then in the past year, ODWC fishery staff conducted thorough investigations into 14 out of 57 fish kill reports. And the team's prompt response and detailed analysis helped maintain the health and balance of local aquatic ecosystems. And then the hatchery team raised and released 16 million fish. That's a lot of fish released into the state waters. Special shout out to the hatchery folks that are in the pond bottoms and working in the hatchery system, kind of behind the scenes folks that don't get a lot of attention sometimes and deserve it all. But without them, we wouldn't have anything really being stocked into the lake. So that's a perfect mix and balance of hatchery folks working with management and research team to do the best thing we can do for fisheries. So good job to hatchery folks. Having started out in the fish hatchery system, I can tell you it's hard work. And they deserve the credit for it. In C&E division, Amanda Thomas accepted the bid and finalized the contract and purchase order for a renovation on Optimal gun range. You've heard quite a bit about Optimal. So construction on Optimal is going to happen in March. The renovated range will include a 100-yard rifle range and a 50-yard pistol range. Also in C&E, bids were awarded for the Arcadia parking lot. Commissioner Barwick, thanks for showing up out there on some of that projected work to be done. I think your input and being there helped a lot. We wanted to, especially since it's in your backyard, to make sure we were doing it right.
We're on track to do that, and
Yep.
I'm proud of what's going on right now out
Yeah,
there.
so we got Commissioner Barwick out there, being the archer he is, because there's a lot of archery stuff going on, and I think it's going great. So progress there. Parking lots and ponds and different things going on there. Gina Donnell reports an all-time high of $92,360 deposited in the Wildlife Diversity Fund from license plate sales. So the diversity folks are doing well, and we appreciate those donations. She also reported $25,131 was donated from the '24 tax refunds. That generated $117,000 for wildlife diversity. It's not all about the hook a bullet stuff. And then last fall, Michael Bergen helped launch a strategic digital campaign to promote hunting and access opportunities across the state. Update, that project was funded by a $50,000 grant from the Association for Conservation Information and leveraging customer data. The effort aimed to maximize views on the video across YouTube and other digital platforms. So we've got stuff out there on all different kind of platforms. In a month and a half, the campaign generated thousands of dollars in license sales. So good job, Michael, on that. And then Damon Springer and Colby Cook in C&E prepared for the 2025 Oklahoma Scholastic Shooting Sports Program in March. And then I just mentioned the shoots will be happening April 1 and 2. In Wildlife Division, more burning. If you see smoke, don't call the fire department necessarily. It may be something we're doing on purpose. We do have burn plans in place, and we do get the phone calls, and it helps when we can say, yeah, that's a control burn on Lexington. We were capturing and completed pronghorn and mule deer surveys. We've done mule deer and pronghorn is wrapped up, I think, Bill, right, on research. Probably saw that little video on mule deer. I think that's pretty cool. Helicopter netting mule deer. It's a pretty awesome job. Probably pretty intense if you're in the helicopter too. So that research is going on. And turkey trapping continues in the southwest and southeast. Herd health collections in the northeast and north central. And did y'all hear about the ringtail cat? Ringtail cat northeast was in somebody's garage, and we're all thinking, ringtail cat, you know, that's somebody's pet, right? I guess a rehabber spent a couple hours trying to catch it out of somebody's garage. And the video I saw of them letting it go, it was a wild one. That thing was wilder than a wounded coyote. So don't know where it came from for sure. What town was it in? Muskogee. And we released it on a WMA, so he may be lonely. He's probably looking up fox squirrels or gray squirrels, thinking it's next to kin or something, but there is a ringtail out there. And then quail season update, it was good as predicted. And the surveys that we did back in August and October pretty much mirrored how it was pulled off, and it went well. And some of you all did pretty good on pheasants too, so those were up a little bit. A couple of the commissioners and I were talking this morning, what does it take to like have the best quail season ever? And that's 3 years in a row of good production. Well, we've had two, actually two and about a half, but one more, and it could be pretty phenomenal. So we're encouraged about that. And then I've got law enforcement division. We've got Warden Langford, while checking waterfowl hunters, found a non-resident with a resident hunting license. Seems to be a lot of that going on lately. Upon further investigation, the individual possessed resident hunting licenses in 3 states, so not just us. Those other states have opened up investigations on the same individual, so thanks to Langford and his work there. Then we had Game Wardens Meese in France, that's District 5, check a group of 11 duck hunters. There's kind of a duck theme this month. For Mississippi and Arkansas that were being guided in Logan County on the last weekend of duck season. 5 out of the 11 were in violation. 4 temporary non-resident hunting licenses, 3 non-resident temporary waterfowl licenses, and 2 ADFs for unplugged shotguns were issued. So a lot of work in the waterfowl world. Game Warden Meese had issued a temporary hunting license on the opening weekend of duck season to a client of the same guide service. So some of you may be hearing about a guide license at the Capitol that some people are interested in to try to help with some of this stuff. Then we had Warden Taylor in District 6 wrapped up a case where waterfowl again. The waterfowl guide used a drone to haze the ducks. If you ever see how they do that, it's unbelievable. They can literally put ducks in front of hunters until you, and especially geese, kill every one of them. There was a, I think, snow goose video out there years ago where it's probably 200 snow geese, and they droned those things in on the hunters over and over until they got the last one. So, not good. The guy did plead guilty to charges of harassing wildlife. If you got to get drones out to get your clients geese and ducks, I mean, you might not need to be a guide, and you might need to have a license. And then Investigator Long traveled to western Oklahoma to assist Lieutenant Baker, District 8, on a migratory bird treaty poison case. I've been getting calls on that one. 200 Canada geese in a field by Guyman don't escape the eye of the public very often. So 200 birds were counted and recovered, and that one's still, right, Nathan, under investigation. So it's always fun out there, and the birds have been sent off to the lab. And then we got nails over at the Capitol right now, working on legislation. It's deadline week. Bills will be coming out of the House of Origin, then to the floor, and we're just kind of waiting to see what some of those do, and we'll keep you posted on that. Also, our conservation partners who were really engaged last year on a lot of legislation have reached out to us, and we're going to set up some meetings with our conservation partners and our legal team committees, and have some meetings there to discuss once all of these bills come out of committee what the next plan is. So a lot going on at the Capitol, and appreciate those at the Capitol that work with us on wildlife and fisheries and law enforcement issues. We've got some good partners over there, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for Wade? Thank you, Wade. Appreciate it. Item 11, financial reports. Andrea?
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, we're here to talk about the financial report through January 31st. So this first slide is the revenue comparison for FY25 versus FY24 through January 31st. FY25 collections totaled $43,736,180. Same time last year was $40,339,998 for an increase of 8%. This next one is our expenditures comparison. FY25 through January 31st, expenditures totaled $44,548,508. Same time last year was $37,224,302 for an increase of 20%, which is a reflection of the increased budget for FY '25. And our total cash balance in our revolving funds through January 31st was $22,101,355. This slide is the summary slide of the combined balances of the trust funds. So at the summary level, the total through January 31st, FY '25, $323,625,862 versus same time last year of $281,859,663. And then we take a closer look at the different trust funds. The Lifetime Trust Fund started with a December 31st balance of $157,413,850. You can see the activity throughout the month, and we left with a balance of January 31st of $160,635,352. Taking a look at the Defined Benefit Pension Trust Fund, the December 31st balance was $144,677,970. Activity throughout the month of January had a net income of $3,184,617, leaving us with a January 31 balance of $147,862,587. The Defined Contribution Trust Fund started as of December 31st with $9,694,116. Activity throughout the month was $375,516, leaving us with a balance at January 31st of $10,069,632. And the last couple of slides are the wildlife contributions that were received in January of 2025. I have 3 slides worth, so I'll just pause for a second. Lots of in memories of. And the next slide. And the final, for a total of $258,255 worth of contributions for your consideration.
Wow. Yeah. Questions for Andrew? Again, we have a motion to accept our great donation. So moved.
Commissioner Gaddis? Aye. Commissioner Rea? Commissioner Holder? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Commissioner Bell? Commissioner Dillington? Commissioner Kane? Commissioner Martin?
Aye. Item 12, I guess we're looking at some properties. Do I have a motion to go in executive session?
So moved.
Commissioner Gaddis? Commissioner Dill?
Aye.
Commissioner Holder?
Aye.
Commissioner Zelf?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane? Commissioner Barwick?
Aye. Do we have a motion to authorize the director to pursue those properties that were discussed in the executive session?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that motion, but before I do, I'd like to note the substantial amount of personal time invested by the members of the committee, Commissioner Zelps, Commissioner Deal, Commissioner Holder, all spent a lot of time on the road looking at various properties to make sure that we use these resources wisely and they fit into a common plan for what it is we're trying to do. I also think we should commend staff, in particular, for listening to our screwy ideas and helping identify properties that really fit what it is we're trying to do, that solve problems, access problems, management problems. I think that's what you have here before you today. So there's a lot more going on than just us sitting up here looking pretty. Everyone's put a lot of time into this, and I think these are good properties that'll be a credit to the operation.
Commissioner Gaddis? Aye. Commissioner Hill? Aye. Commissioner Holder? Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Zells?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye. Item 13, any new business? If none, the next meeting's April 7th here in Oklahoma City headquarters. This meeting's adjourned.